Let's see. You also want to dress well for this. This is not something you want to do in scrubs or a t-shirt or your college hoodie, what you feel comfortable in. You probably want to comb that hair. You probably want to, ladies, the barn needs paint, you got to paint it. So just, put on some light makeup. Don't overdo it. Make sure you're just looking appropriate and professional. So it's okay to have tattoos, but now's not the day to show off that brand new tattoo, okay? Or have sleeves going down that you want to show off. You want to just present yourself as a professional doctor gaining rapport with patients. So consider putting on that interview outfit that you might have been ready for doing interviews this fall. Maybe you're getting out the old medical school interview thing. I don't know, but it's got to be something that's going to look nice. So this is part of professionalism. Just dress that way. Help yourself out. Sometimes people have isms, and that's distracting. And this is something you need to work on for your presentations, for this SVI, and for your formal interview. So if you're an and every word, when you're presenting, how I like to interview, you need to stop that. And you are unconsciously unaware of this. So you've got to video yourself, you got to check it out. Ask your friends, do I have an ism? Do I have a tick? Do I have a distracting way about me? Maybe I twitch a little bit when you talk. I don't know. You got to figure that out for yourself. But some people have this trouble, and you need to identify it and get it taken care of. Practice questions are going to be good. So there's a bunch of practice questions on the SVI as you do a practice range. There's, Harvard Business Review has a good resource. There's a lot of different websites you can go through and just Google medical school interviews, professionalism interview questions. There are books you can buy. There are a lot of resources out there, but I would kind of get those out, maybe have flashcards. Just take a look at some of those. And you can easily see that pretty soon it's going to be an interesting thing to find that you can insert your adjectives about yourself. You can insert some of those narratives and stories that can take care of a lot of these questions here. And if you start just reading these, it's probably going to send some thoughts to your mind. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about that, and we had one brave individual, Chad. I guess your identity is pretty open there. It's pretty obvious this is you.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I have no clue about that.
Yeah. So Chad went ahead and recorded himself doing this. We'll take a look at this, and maybe we'll discuss some things. So I'm not sure which one it is, but one was done well, one wasn't. We're still trying to work on which that was.
I think they're both done pretty poorly.
Both done pretty poorly. All right, so let's play this. Let's see how it goes.
Okay. Tell me about a time when you had to deal with a difficult person. Well, one time I was... No, sorry. Tell me about a time when you had to deal... Mom? Look, Mom, I can't talk right now. Mom, look, yeah, I know, I was supposed to take it out of the freezer, I'm sorry. Mom, first question, tell me about a time when you had to deal with a difficult person. Well, I'm gonna get a snack real quick while I do this one. So yeah, there's this one time I was working with Dr. Weiters in the Okay, tell me about a time when you had to deal with a difficult person. Tell me about a time when you had to deal with a difficult person.
So obviously some bad stuff that you want to make sure this is not going to be done. You could do it at home. We have talked with some of our college medicine leadership, and we're going to get together a good standard laptop with a good quality microphone, and we're going to have some spaces up in the college medicine here that you can come if you choose to come do this, we'll try to get a non-distracting background that you can, kind of operate in. It won't be like a sound studio. I think they do have a sound studio there at the main hub in Texas A&M College Station, I believe. But I think the other clinical sites are probably going to try to set up some resources to help you guys out. But again, I would put it in your room where you're not distracted, everything's off, cell phone's on silent, you just got to check all that stuff first. Again, the key's going to be practicing it. So, any other tips you saw on that point you want to make, Chad?
Yeah, so,
Your text the voice.
so yeah, kind of what Dr. Weiters was saying, you don't want to have any distractions. If you have pets, if you're going to do this at home or in a place that's not the school, then you just want to try to isolate yourself as much as possible. The AAMC is trying to market this as something you can do this anywhere at any time to help facilitate the process, just in case people are out on the ways or whatever it is. But if, like Dr. Weiters was saying, if you have the opportunity to do it in a more professional environment, like at the school, then do that. If not, then just try to isolate yourself as much as possible. And don't wear a sombrero. It's another good one.
I kind of like this one. Okay, so we have a little bit more serious one here, so we'll try to go through this one and kind of see what we can do. It's, the events in here actually happened. Yeah, okay.
Okay, tell me about a time where you had to deal with a difficult person. So a time when I had to deal with a difficult person was, I was on my emergency medicine rotation, and my attending, Dr. Weiters, and I were having a discussion about Oreos and the proper way to consume Oreos. And me being the aficionado and connoisseur of Oreos that I am, was telling him that the proper way to eat Oreos is to take double stuffed Oreos and dip them in a jar of peanut butter. And as soon as I said that, Dr. Weiters just had this expression of anguish and confusion upon his face that I've never really seen before. And he proceeded to chastise me on my choice of Oreo consumption. And it took a lot out of me to try and make sure I did not personally attack him and really suppress my disappointment in his reaction towards my preference. So we entered into a little bit of a discussion with one another, and as soon as we figured out why we felt the way that we felt about it, with him wanting to twist the ends off and lick the cream and then consume the Oreo, which that to me personally is completely, I'm not even gonna get into it. But we did have a conversation about it, and we were able to reconcile our differences and really get to the heart of what that day was supposed to be about, which was supposed to be learning about emergency medicine. And so we came out of the conversation respecting one another's views on how to consume Oreos, and we actually have a very good working relationship now. Yeah, that was kind of like another different human being.
All right, so any thoughts, any questions on what we've talked about, best practice ideas? And this is our first time here, so.
So there's a couple of things I wanted to point out. While that was supposed to be a better example of what the process should look like, there were still some things that we should think about and consider could have been done differently. Number one was, there were still some times where I inserted us in there, so again, working on making sure you don't try to limit them as much as possible. Me buttoning up my shirt was supposed to represent looking more professional, and so more professional attire. And one important thing is, I did mention names. Don't do that in the actual SVI. Don't put any identifying information when you're talking about another individual that you may have worked with, or you want to keep this as anonymous as possible. So,
That's good. I mean, I was going to have the students reflect on what they noticed or saw that was good, or maybe some ideas. Thanks, Mike.
So something good that I noticed was it was definitely a story, kind of beginning, middle, and end. And it would flow more naturally because it's just, that's the way we can remember things better. So when you're not struggling to really think about it, but it's just following the logical story, I think it just flows better.
Yeah, and that was a minute, 38 seconds or something like that?
almost 2, yeah.
Almost 2 minutes, so that wasn't 3 minutes. And I would encourage you, less is more. I'd be really cautious if you're starting to tell your story or answer one of these questions and you're getting to that 2 minutes, 58 seconds, and you're not done consistently, something's changed. Good point.
One thing that I liked, it's kind of subtle, but you took a moment to kind of reflect on the question. You didn't feel like you had to answer it right away, and I think a lot of times in interviews, you get the question and there's that silence. People feel like rather than reflecting their thoughts, they have to jump right in with an answer. They're afraid that silence might be perceived as like a lack of confidence or indecisiveness, and you took a nice moment to, let the question resonate, and then you confidently kind of started. So I thought that was nice.
That's a good point. One of the things also I'll say about that, maybe not for the SVI, but for the real interview, and you shouldn't answer with this every time. So starting off, especially when it's really well done, you say, gosh, that is a really good question. And ponder for a second. Here's what I think. And then you go. That shows that you appreciate the person. It's impossible to reject a compliment unless that's your just robotic response to every single question. That's a great question. Tell me more about yourself. That is a great question. So just be careful of that, but you might want to throw that out there maybe once or twice to soften that.